Welcome to the Wake Up and Unleash podcast for women who've experienced success but are now in a frustrating plateau, feeling stuck and alone. For women who are ready to take their business to another level without sacrificing what matters most, our health, our family, and our sanity. So, through real discussions and raw dialogue, we'll share tools and strategies to break that plateau and unleash your power and fire so that you can crush it in business and in life. Here's your host, Karla Sandoval.
Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Wake Up and Unleash. This is Karla Sandoval, your entrepreneur and leadership coach. Today, I am wanting to share something with you that I feel in my heart that could possibly wake up and unleash that person that you know you have inside, and that maybe you are feeling stuck and paralyzed because you're not letting go of those things that are hurting you. So here's what I want to bring up today, and that is that which we ignore. If we ignore it long enough, can and will not only hurt us, but possibly kill us. I know, sounds kind of dramatic, doesn't it? But hear me out on this, okay? So the other day, I was going to the gym, and then I felt this this burst of energy, okay? And it was a different type of energy, okay? Because every morning I have my drinks. If you follow me, you see every drink that I have. But it was a different type of energy. It was like this energy of feeling alive. And I don't know, I had like the best workout. And then afterwards on my drive home, it hit me. It was like the energy was coming from this space of relief. And the reason is because lately I have been making big changes in my life. Lately, I have realized a lot of things in my life, which I'm going to share with you today. Okay. But I want to give you some context of why I'm sharing this with you today. And that is that when I realized that this energy was not coming from my amazing drink that you guys all know I love, okay, which is like Lift Off and CR7, but it wasn't coming from that. It wasn't coming from my water bottle. It was coming from inside. It was this energy of, like freedom, this energy of empowerment. I felt like I was tapping back into who I know I am down to the core. So how did you do that, Karla? I'm about to tell you, this is what came to me. And that is that which we ignore, if we continue to ignore it over and over and over and over again, those things that we ignore that are hurting us and that we know are hurting us, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, those things that we are ignoring that are hurting us are the things that are actually killing us inside. So let me give you an example that is I feel that most of us can understand, okay? So let's just say that we know someone, let's call him Bob. And Bob goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, okay, listen, Bob, you have got to change your lifestyle. There are things we have to change because your blood pressure is through the roof, your cholesterol is through the roof, your diabetes is through the roof, and you're overweight. So we need to get you to move. We need you to stop eating this, stop eating that. We need you to drink more water, no more high sodium, high fatty foods. Like, we have got to change your diet. We need to eliminate these things that are hurting you, or they will kill you. And Bob is like, yeah, I know, doctor. Okay. And then Bob goes home and Bob continues his routine, and he continues to do the things that, even though they're hurting him, and even though he knows that they're hurting him, but that are really killing him slowly. And we can look at that and say, okay, well, yeah, Karla, that makes sense. Like, he needs to stop doing this, this, and that. Because the doctor's giving you like numbers, right? So you could see it on a piece of paper, the result of his habits, the result of his association with food and lack of movement is causing this, and this. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Although we cannot, quote unquote, measure our environment, our habits, the things we're tolerating, the things that we're putting up with, the lack of boundaries, the lack of self-respect are just as harmful, if not possibly even more harmful, than Bob's habits of eating all this stuff and not moving. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because when I was driving back from the gym, it hit me that the reason why I had all this energy and the reason why I felt so alive and the reason why I felt so much freedom was because I had come to terms with so many things. So listen, it's going to sound a little feisty right now, okay? But whatever. Here it comes. I finally came to terms that like enough was enough. Okay. And what I mean by that is like, I was done with tolerating certain things in my life. I was done with tolerating certain relationships in my life. I was done being a specific way with certain people that were not that way with me. Okay. And like, as I said on my daily podcast, okay, if you don't listen to it, you got to listen to it. It's so good. Okay. It's like under 10 minutes. But it's like I talked about letting go of the apple. And I'll explain what that means in a second. But it's like I let go of so many apples that had me trapped. And here's the thing. Many times we don't even realize that we are trapped. We don't even realize that we're like stuck in these situations because they become the norm. They become like, this is the way things are. This is the way it is. For example, okay? I'm very fortunate that I have a very healthy relationship with my husband. But let's just say, okay, that he were to be toxic and constantly saying, put me down and all these things. Well, first of all, I would not be married to him. But let's just say that he were like that and started putting me down and saying that I was ugly and I was useless and this and that and this and that. At the beginning, I think like most people, we know that's wrong, right? Like it doesn't feel good. But here's the deal. If we continue to tolerate being around that environment, whether it's your relationship, whether it's at work, whether it's your friendships, whether it's your family, okay, we keep like tolerating that type of treatment, that later on becomes the norm. Later on, it's like, well, that's just the way he is. Well, that's just the way it is at work. And all of a sudden, right, we start to think like this is the way life is for me. And we don't realize is that it became the norm because we tolerated it one too many times. Now, it doesn't have to be that dramatic, okay? But for example, I'm going to give you some examples for myself, but I wanted to bring this up because I feel that this is what a lot of times happens. And the reason I'm saying that this can kill you is because what it does is it starts to deteriorate your soul. And all of a sudden, you're not feeling good about yourself. You're not feeling good about life. And all of a sudden, you're like, I don't have energy. I don't feel alive. Well, yes, because your soul has been dying, not only from the mistreatment of others, but here it comes, ladies, but from the mistreatment of oneself. Because here's the deal. People will treat you according to how you treat yourself. The way you treat yourself is the way people will treat you. So when you have self-respect, when you like take care of yourself, people now know that when they are with you and that the way that they have to treat you is with respect and with care. But if we are disrespecting ourselves, not taking care of ourselves, and listen, it's not about vanity, but like getting yourself ready, maybe putting on a little bit of blush, a little bit of lipstick, doing your hair, right? Putting on some perfume, like making sure that you feel good about yourself, whatever that is for you, okay? But it's like when you show up for yourself, guess what? When you show up in the world, people know like, oh, this is somebody that takes care of herself. And this is unconsciously, you guys, okay? It's not like the person says, oh, this person takes care of themselves, therefore I must take care of her. No, like it happens unconsciously. Okay. So what ends up happening is when we don't take care of ourselves and we don't have this self-respect and we start to hurt ourselves internally, our soul starts to die. So I'm going to give you a real example of myself. Okay. This is going to be vulnerable, but I'm just going to say it. And if it sounds a little feisty, here it goes. Okay. So I consider myself a very giving and loyal person. I'm somebody that like when I have an idea or if I see something and like let's say that let's say Mary is a friend of mine and I see something that could benefit Mary, I'm the one that picks up the phone, sends her a text message and says like, "Hey Mary, I was thinking about you when I saw this. I really feel this could serve you. I hope you're well and here's an idea for you." Or I will like think of people and I want to support them. I want to help them, right? And if they call me, even if I'm busy, I will make the time to be there for them. I will make the time, I will put the time aside to be an ear for them, to be a shoulder to cry on. Okay. But lately, what I have come to realize is that I have been in friendships. Now, they might not think this way, but I'm just going to tell you how it occurred for me. So I have realized that I have been in friendships that are not that way for me, meaning that they call me when they need something, when they're sad, when they've got something going on. Oh, yes, they call Karla because Karla's going to be there and I pick up the phone and I'm there for them. Yet when I call them, they are not they're not the same with me. Let's just put it that way, okay? They're not the same with me. Like they don't put the time or they don't make the time for me the way that I have made it for them. Now, I know some of you might be thinking like, well, Karla, you need to give unconditionally. Yes, that's true. And I wasn't expecting anything in return. But what I will tell you that I've come to realize is that relationships need to be a two-way street. Relationships need to be something that if I give, you give. Like it's not like just you're a taker, 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 or you're just a giver, giver, giver. Like that's not a relationship that's healthy in my eyes. And when I came to realize is I was like, you know what? Like I have been there and there's like a couple of people that I have in mind that I have to tell you, like I've been there for them. And all of a sudden when their life was good, like Karla was no longer a friend that was needed. They never reached out. And here's the worst part of it all, that if I reached out to them, they didn't have time. Or if they were busy, which is fine, but they never circled back to call me back. Now, this is just one example, okay? But this happens with a lot of things in life. Business. Do you have employees that maybe they ask for specific hours because they go to school or because they have situations with their children and you're like, okay, yes, I'm going to accommodate for you, but yet you need something from them because you're going to go out of town and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I can't. And it's like, wait a minute. How is this possible that like when you needed me, I was there, but when I need you, you're not there? So this is not only in relationships, this is like in partnerships, in employees, like this really plays out in so many different areas of our lives. And what came to me that day coming back from the gym was that I finally realized like enough is enough. Like who I need to take care of more than anybody else is myself. Who I need to take care of more than anybody else is my immediate family. And yes, I'm going to continue to be friends with people. And yes, what I'm now going to do, and here's what I want to invite you to look at. It's like what I'm now going to do is have my eyes open, not be so naive and not be such a giver that I just get depleted, and be a giver to those that are also willing to give to me. Right. And this is not like, it sounds like a business transaction, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like so many times I feel that, especially us women, we look at our lives and we're always like giving. We're going to give here, we're going to give there, but we're also not willing to receive that which we are giving. And after a while, whether we realize this or not, it starts to hurt us. It starts to like deteriorate us. It starts to break us down inside. And so because I started to realize this in my relationships, I was like, okay, well, you know what? That's not going to work anymore. Like I need to change that. And here are the friends that I know I can count on that are not only am I there for them, but they're also there for me. These are the employees I can count on that are, well, I'm very fortunate. I have an awesome team, but you get my deal. Okay. So I invite you to start looking at your relationships. Where are you where are you pouring your love, your energy, and your time? And is that serving you? Are those things that are actually also pouring back into you? Or are these relationships that are just you're giving, 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 and they're not pouring back to you? Okay, so that's the first thing. Sit with that for a second, okay? I know, because it's going to be like, well, I don't understand how that's hurting you. Well, listen, imagine if you had friends or people that not only are you giving to them, but they can also give to you. Like if you need a hand, they are also there for you. Your life will dramatically improve. The quality of your life will dramatically improve. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I started to look at, wow, you know what I started to do? I let go of the habits that were also hurting me, that I was ignoring because it wasn't that big of a deal. But over time, doing them over and over and over and over again were hurting me. So I want you to think about it for yourself. Let me share with you mine so that you can think about what are yours. And that is my habit of drinking. Now, here's the deal. I'm not opposed to people having a glass of wine here and there, right? But there was a time, you guys, where like almost every night, like I would have a glass of wine or two. And it wasn't like, well, it's not a big deal because I would sit down with Sergio, like after dinner, we would be sitting in our kitchen and we would have a glass of wine and we would be talking. But that glass of wine or two, 4 or 5 days a week sometimes, will eventually hurt you. Not only is it compromising your sleep, it can compromising the way I was thinking, the way I woke up. I woke up super tired. I wasn't having, because people think I'm going to have a glass of wine before I go to sleep. Well, guess what? Your quality of your sleep has just been compromised. And so all these little things that sometimes we don't realize. For example, I love Doritos with Chile Valentina. Okay, so a little bowl of Doritos, not that big of a deal. Okay, well, not when you have them 3, 4 times a week. That's like an extra 1,000 calories that you just consumed of empty calories. So I think you're getting the deal, right? So start to think about what are those habits. Maybe it's like waking up really late. Maybe it's going to sleep really late. I used to do that all the time. I used to go to sleep at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning every single day until I realized how important sleep was for your health. So start to think about what are the things that we continue to ignore, that if we continue to ignore them, they will hurt us. Now, here's the big one. Okay, here we go. This is the big one. I wanted to give you some context on those things that are like, okay, well, that makes sense. But here's the one that gave me the biggest burst of energy. And that is that when I realized that I finally let go of all these expectations of what others had for me. And I actually started to ask myself, what do I want? I started to ask me, what do I want my life to be about? And let me tell you something. It was like, I can't tell you that I asked this question and got the answer the next day. I wish that were the case. But the reality is that when I realized that the only person I needed to ask, what do you want, is myself. The only person I needed to please is myself. The only person I need to impress is me. And when I realized this, it was like, okay. And I know it sounds like, well, yeah, but here's the deal. When you have, at least I'll speak for myself, I had been for so many years so concerned about what my family would think, what my parents would think, what my husband will think, what my friends will think, what society will think. Like, I didn't ask, like, what do I want? I wasn't asking, like, what do I really what does my soul want for me? It was more like, what does the world want of me? Now, I wasn't asking this consciously, but every time I took an action, I was always considering others more than myself. Every time I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I would think about how this would impact others more than how it would be impacting me. And listen, from the moment I realized that this is the thing that I need to ask myself, it's like, what do I want? The moment I realized that the only thing that really, really matters is for me to be good with me. It doesn't matter about my husband, my son, my parents. Like, when I'm good with me, I will be good with them. When I'm good with me, I will be good with the world. Because when you're so good with yourself, people can say whatever they want to say and it won't faze you because you won't take it personal because you're so good with you. So the moment I realized that, it was like you plant the seed in the soil. Just because the seed is planted does not mean you see a flower like the next day. So it was like you plant the seed and you water it and you water it and you water it and you water it. And then all of a sudden you see this little tiny thing coming up and you keep taking care of it. You keep nurturing the idea. You keep nurturing the concept. You keep pondering. You keep working at it. And then all of a sudden, well, what seems all of a sudden, right? You will start to see it coming and coming in a little flower and a little flower and a little flower. And eventually it's like it starts to bloom. And I feel that that's what has been happening with me for the last couple of months. And it was like the idea was planted and then it was like processed. And that morning that I did my morning ritual, I did my Bible reading, I did my Bible stack, went to the gym, I did my prayer stack. As I was driving back home, I felt this burst of energy. It was like in that moment, the flower bloomed. But the flower bloomed because of the previous process. It wasn't like it just bloomed because it bloomed. It bloomed because somebody planted the seed. It took care of it, watered it, nurtured it, gave it sun, gave it life. And with time, it started to grow until it bloomed. And so I want you to think about this for yourself. What do you really want for yourself? What do you really want for your life? Like, what do you want? And listen, I'm going to tell you something because I'm going to be super unapologetic about this. I invite you to reach out to me. I would love to walk you through the process so that you can wake up and unleash that person that I know you have inside, but you haven't given yourself the permission to let her be unleashed. You haven't given yourself the permission to say, yes, this is who I am. This is what I want. And I'm going to go after it, and to do it unapologetically, because we're so concerned about what others are going to think and what they're going to say. And we're so concerned about everybody else, except for the most important person. And that is to be concerned with you. And I'm telling you this because it's taken me so many years to get to this point. Okay. It's taken me so long to get to this point. And I'm just going to say this because I am a woman, and I don't know if guys go through this like women do. I'm surrounded with a lot of powerful men, and I see how they don't want to do something and they don't do it. They want to do something and they do it. Like, they're so unapologetic. They just go for it. And I feel that a lot of the times us women, we're more considerate. Again, I don't know because I'm not a guy, okay? But I feel like a lot of us women, we're so considerate. Like, we consider everybody else before we consider ourselves. And what I mean by that, it's like, okay, I want to do this, but how is this going to affect my husband? How is this going to affect my son? Yes, I get it. We have to be responsible, right? I'm not telling you go after what you want and screw everybody else. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that there are ways to go after what you want and not sacrifice the things that matter to you, which is what this whole Wake Up and Unleash movement is all about. It's like, how do you wake up and unleash that woman that I know you have inside? How do you wake up and unleash that woman that you have inside without sacrificing the things that matter the most to you? How do you wake up and unleash and go after what you want? How do you wake up and unleash that person that you have inside that you haven't given yourself permission to let her out? How do you do that? Like, I'm telling you, it took me months. It's taken me years to get here. But from the moment that I really planted the seed, it was months ago. And looking back, I'm like, yes, it takes time. It takes time. And I think that the reason why it hasn't taken me that long is because I have been doing rituals every single day, like pouring into that seed, watering that future plant, knowing like I know she's going to come out. I know she's going to come out. I know she's going to come out. And then all of a sudden here comes a little, right? Like a little sign that the flower is coming. And it's like, here she is. And, had it not been for those rituals, had it not been for the things that I have done every single day, this probably would have taken me years. Yes. And I'm going to say this because I know that it would have taken me a lot longer because guess what? These ideas and this passion that you're hearing right now have been in me for years. But because I was not in the right environment, because I didn't have the right coaching, because I didn't have the right mindset, because I didn't have the right tools, the right habits, they were just an idea that I had inside of me and that I put in the back of my mind. And I don't want that to happen to you. Like, if you know, like, you know what? I know that my soul has been dying because I know there's something bigger for me. I know there's something greater for me. I know that there is something that I am meant to do, but I just don't know how to get myself to go. If that's you, I'm going to tell you something. Reach out. Let's work together. Okay? Because they say that you cannot buy time. Yes, you can. You can buy time. And I'm going to tell you how. You buy time by buying proximity to those who have already done what you want to do. And they can now show you the way a lot faster. You can buy time by buying their experience, by them telling you, don't do this, do that, don't do this, do that. That buys you time. Because let me tell you something. The fact that I have purchased coaching, that I have purchased being in proximity to masterminds and invested a lot of money this last year on myself is what allowed me to speed up the process that has taken me years to be here. So I'm telling you, there is a way to shorten the time to go after what it is that you want. So I hope you can feel my passion because let me tell you something. When this happened, I was like, yes, that which we ignore, you ignore your calling, you ignore your passion, you ignore what it is that you want to do. Those things start to hurt your soul, start to hurt you internally, start to hurt you and start to literally you feel like you're dying inside and you don't know why you feel the way you feel, but you're like, I just don't I remember telling someone, I'm like, where's Karla? Where is she? I know that I have more in me. What happened to me? Have you ever felt that way where you're like, what happened to me? What happened to the woman I know I have inside? Those are the things that I got to tell you. I kept asking myself over and over and over again the last couple of years, what happened to me? I know that there is more inside of me, but I just didn't know how to pull it out. Right? And so I'm telling you, if you are feeling this, if you're feeling like I know that there's more in me, reach out. Okay. You can go to my website, karlaesandoval.com. You can go to Instagram, Karla Boss Lady, because yes, I feel like you can be a boss and a lady all at the same time. You don't have to choose. You have to embrace all of who you are. And yes, I am a boss and I am feisty and I have a lot of energy and I want to be taken care of. I want to be a lady. I want my husband to, treat me like a queen. There are phases of us that sometimes we apologize for being who we are. And that's another thing. I was like, this is me, all of me. And when you can accept who you really are, then the world is going to see you in a whole different light. And I got to tell you, so many people, like I've said in many of my podcasts, especially the daily ones, people would always say that I'm too much. Well, listen, I'm too much for them. Okay. And I'm no longer apologizing for that. For a long time, I felt guilty for being how I was. I felt bad. I felt shameful a little bit for being how I am because people would make comments. But I think about it and I'm like, I love me. I love all of me. I love how I am. I love how loud I am. I love how energetic I am. And I invite you to also look in the mirror and embrace who you really are. Embrace what it is that you really want, because that is the beginning of actually living and not living for other people and not living for, and it's like the way we say in Spanish, por el que dirán. So many of us, we live in that world of what will others say. And ¿qué dirán? ¿Qué dirán de mí? ¿Qué te importa? Okay, it's none of your business what they think. What matters is what you think of yourself. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be super unapologetic about it because I feel that something came into my heart and said, speak about this. And I was like, yes, because God created you to be an amazing woman. But because we're so concerned about what others will think and what others will say, we start to dim our light. And I feel that that is so disrespectful to our creator. Like, he made us to be bigger than life. So let's play out that role in this lifetime. Let's impact people and let's make a difference in this world. Let's wake up those women and allow them to unleash into the woman that they know that they have inside. So like I say every week, I show up for you. The only thing I ask of you is send this to somebody, send this to 2 or 3 women that you're like, listen to this. Wake up, girl, because I know you have that woman inside of you. And if there's anything I can do to support you, go onto my website, Karla E. Sandoval. That's Karla with the K, okay? Karla E. Sandoval. And schedule an Unleash Discovery call where for 45 minutes, we can dive in to see what is holding you back. What is really not allowing you to unleash that woman that you know you have inside. So with that said, you guys, I hope you have an awesome day and we will see you next week.